Yeah, this question really made me thinking. What causes panic in my mind? And I think, as he just introduced, yeah, I find myself being a German sometimes. So clarity is for me one of the most important points. And why? Because if I have a lack of clarity, I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe you have found yourself going to the fridge just to walk back without anything in your hand because you forgot what you wanted. Well, if you had clarity in your mind what you wanted, this wouldn't happen. And I found myself, if I have clarity, if I have really a clear mind, things go much easier. I don't drive crazy. I know myself, I know the situation, I know where I want to go, and here we go. But sometimes, of course, it happens that I'm driving crazy. And there are so many factors that impact this. Maybe wrong sleep, wrong environment. There are a lot. And there are so many things you can work on. But today I want to share one thing that helped me every time to get clarity. You all heard about it, and I'm sure all of you did it. But maybe not in that way to get clarity. I'm talking about traveling. And today I want to share with you how I use traveling that brings me clarity. Ever since I remember, I traveled. Before I was 1 year old, I traveled to 3 countries. And was the neighbor countries, so it's not such a big deal. But nevertheless, I traveled now to over 25 countries. Made more than 500 trips, alone, with my family, spouses, friends, elderlies, children, in buses, on ships, in planes, on a motorbike, by food. Well, but there are some things I always keep in mind when I want to use it as a tool to get clarity. And I'm pleased to share this today with you. The first thing is to get away from the source of stress and pressure. I think that's pretty logical. A lot of us have 1 or 2 times a year holiday, and then we say, we leave the country, we go somewhere. I need holiday. I want to share you a story. A very good friend of mine, I grew up with her. Over the time, she got a family, and she didn't leave her house, her environment, for years. Until she finally said, we booked a holiday. And she was on the trip. And I asked her afterwards, how was it? And the answer I got was, well, you don't leave the burdens at the airport behind you. So we go away from something, we go somewhere else, but we take everything with us. For me, this misses this purpose, at least if I want to get clarity. So what I do usually is completing my tasks as good as I can and say, here I'm getting them out of my mind. And then I travel light. I don't take my big luggages with me. I don't take people with me that pull me down. And I don't want to say, this is something negative. I don't have to offend them. I can just say, well, I need this. And if I take you with me, this doesn't work. So good communication is not offensive. And then I also don't you take my emails with me, my phone, etc. So this is the first thing I'm taking. Leaving the source of pressure behind and stress. The second thing I'm paying attention to is giving myself time to calm my mind. Now, if this is the place where all this stress happens, I go here, so no new stress. But a lot of us travel in tours together. We have a bus tour. We are abroad, of course, we want to see as much as possible. This is just a once in a lifetime chance. So we jump from one attraction to the next one, constantly stressing. Well, this doesn't make things better, at least not for me. So if I do this, if I'm going on a holiday, if I'm traveling, I'm flexible. I say, good, I would like to see this, I would like to see this, and maybe I would like to see this. So I'm going to the first thing and give myself time. And when I'm feeling calm, then I might stand a little bit longer, and then I'm going on. And at the end of the day, if I missed something of my list, I say, well, that is okay. Because if I would rush from one thing to the next thing, I would not experience anything. I would just take pictures all the time, and one day I would look back on those pictures. But those pictures are completely useless, because they don't give me the feeling of, wow, that was an experience. No, because in the moment I haven't really experienced something, because I was completely stressed. So therefore, really the saying, sometimes less is more. That's the second thing. And the third thing is, after I left the place with negative input and calmed my mind, like emptying a glass of water, I fill the glass of water with new things. And I do this by connecting with locals. I connect with people who have a different perspective. And this gives me a different perspective. This let me see my situation that stressed me in the first place in relative terms. For example, I thought some years ago, business is the only thing. That's what everyone runs for. And eventually, I was stressed. So traveling some years ago, the first time through Thailand, I connected with a local person who was building houses out of earth. She has a completely different life, but somehow she felt happy. I said, well, that's also a lifestyle. It's not all about money, it's not all about stress, it's about living. And it was the first time I saw that again after so many years. So this was the third tip, connecting with people. And I would like to share a video of such a journey to give you a tangible impression.
I've always enjoyed traveling and getting to know local, different ways of life.
Kind of wild animal that come to eat.
And now that I clearly knew what I did not want to do, this trip was perfect to think about what expectations I have for myself and what I expect for my life. Maybe one can never be 100% sure, but the self-reflection, alone, in peace, far away from friends, job, social pressure and family, has brought me at least astonishing close to this 100%.
Well, to summarize this, the 3 tips again. Leave the source of stress behind you. Travel light, second. Travel flexible. And the third, connect with locals to get a different perspective, to get a relative perspective. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster Christian.